Your host is a dating strategist and writer who coaches singles on Book D is for Dating, column on JDate, and many TV appearances have helped hundreds of daters make a match. Whether you're single, married, dating, or anything in between, get ready for a conscious conversation about love in the modern world. Get ready for Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D.
Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D is brought to you in part by the Cool Change Foundation, a nonprofit corporation dedicated to carrying a message of recovery, positive evolution, motivation, and life enhancement so that you can help yourself to a better tomorrow. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D, where we take a modern approach to dating and relationships. We're your place to get helpful advice and tips whether you're in a relationship right now or looking to find one. My name's Damona Hoffman, but I also go by Dear Mrs. D, and I'm here to address your deepest relationship questions and talk about solutions for you to be healthy and happy in love. Today, our topic is when the bond breaks, how to avoid becoming a divorce statistic or cope with the reality of being one. Our guests for today are professional life coach Angela Paul, author of It's Hard Being Human, Thoughts on the Journey from Suffering to Joy, and later Allana Pratt, sexy mom expert and man whisperer, will be talking to us in studio. Thanks to all of you for joining us on coolchangeradio.com, dearmrsd.com, and on Facebook. You can always catch our recent shows on all of those sites, plus get free dating tips and watch clips of Dear Mrs. D's other recent appearances at youtube.com/dearmrsd. So joining us now is Angela Paul. She is a writer, model, and professional life coach who leads workshops for women on relationships, marriage, and personal transformation, and also graceful aging. Her first book is It's Hard Being Human, Thoughts on Journey from Suffering to Joy. It was published in 2006 and featured a foreword by the Secrets teacher, Reverend Michael Beckwith. I'm tongue-tied today. Her new book, The Beauty of Aging, A Woman's Guide to Joyful Living, was recently published and is available through online retailers such as Barnes & Noble, Amazon, iUniverse, and Books A Million. The book will be available in major bookstores later this year. Joining us now on Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D here on the Cool Change Radio and TV network is Angela Paul.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, Angela, you have been married for an amazing 31 years.
Wow. It must have been 10 when we got married.
Honestly, you look like it. You must have been 10. Do you think that there is one major secret to your success, or are there many? Can you share some of them with us?
I think there are many, and I think that for every couple there's a different rhythm, a different dance. But obviously, when you've been married 31 years, there are certain things that you've learned. So I could go through a whole list of things that work for us. And
Tell us.
Well, obviously, a big one is trust.
Yeah.
Yes, a sense of humor. The willingness, the intention of both people to want to make the marriage a priority. Mm-hmm. Because really, if there's not both people are not invested in making it a priority in your life, then it's not going to happen. Because it does take work. It's not like the grueling work that people say, but it's like, it is work. It's an intention that you set, and you get the rewards.
Mm-hmm. Your husband, he's a pretty successful guy. He was one of the founding members of the Manhattan Transfer, right?
That's correct.
So, and you are equally as accomplished as a model, author, speaker. I'm a similar situation. My husband is an accomplished TV and film writer. And, sometimes I hear in relationships where both parts of the couple are very successful, there's almost like a sort of competition that comes into the relationship. Have you ever had that experience? And if for the people at home who have, what advice do you have for women who have married high-profile men?
Personally, I've never had that experience. My husband has been very supportive of whatever I've wanted to do. Mm-hmm. That said, before we married, I'd had a very successful career for 10 years, starting when I was 15 in the UK. So by the time I got married, I was ready to kind of let that go by the side a little bit and travel together and then raise a child together. But all the time, I was always going back to school and doing things that was important to me to grow as an individual. Mm-hmm. I think that to be married to the kind of people that we are, a person in the entertainment industry who doesn't have a 9-to-5 job, you have to be a very unique individual yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to have a strong sense of who you are. And I think it really helps if you both have careers because you're constantly bringing something new to the relationship. And time apart, to me, honestly, in a long relationship, that's what keeps marriages together, not what pulls you apart. Granted, if you're apart, 2 or 3 months at a time, then you drift apart. But if you have short separations, there's something fresh, there's something new. you always got the ability to keep looking at each other with fresh eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't become boring. And personally for me, I don't think that my personality would do good with a 9-to-5 guy.
Yeah.
I mean, some women would probably not do well with the kind of relationship that I'm in, but a 9-to-5 guy wouldn't work for me.
It's interesting. I had tried, dating a whole variety of guys before, but I thought, when I was working in the entertainment industry as a casting director, and I just really thought for someone to understand my lifestyle, like I needed to be with someone that also was either in that industry or really got it.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think when my husband and I met, and I know it's such a cliche that an entertainer meets a model, but there are reasons why those things work. Is it because I had already gotten used to that kind of lifestyle, the constant traveling, the constant flexibility in, schedules, not knowing what's coming next.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain kind of personality where you flow with that. Because if that's, if you need to have everything set on a daily basis, I don't think you could handle that kind of a lifestyle. So you have to have a specific kind of personality. And again, personally for me, subconsciously, I think I chose that because I like to have my alone time. I like to have my girlfriends. I like to do certain things by myself. But I also have a very strong bond with my husband. So I feel like we've been able to develop the best of both.
It's so important that you say having that alone time, because I think a lot of women in general, but particularly married women, really forget, especially once you have children. It's like, okay, I'm either working, dealing with my kids, or with my husband, maybe if we can get that time. But having that time for yourself is really
it's
key.
It's so
isn't it?
important, and I think we need to teach that to young women very early on because, socially, women tend to lose themselves in a relationship more than a man. It's just the way we've been raised. And I think that needs to change. And, so we have to mirror that to the younger generation. Start always to think about what you need in your life. And if you have a great guy who can enhance what you have, supports that without making you feel diminished if you were in the relationship, then that's a healthy beginning. But never give up yourself.
Right.
Never give up yourself for the sake of somebody else. Because if anybody asks that of you, even consciously or subconsciously, then that's not the kind of relationship you want to be in.
Right. You've said that a lot of couples come to marriages with high expectation and low preparation. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that's a real big one, and I think that should be reversed, first of all. I mean, think about it. We have all of these romantic notions out there about what a relationship's supposed to be like. Take, for example, what we see in the movies. For example, the movie with Tom Cruise, I think it was Jerry Maguire, where he has this line and he says, "You complete me." That is such a load of, romantic crap. Sorry, but it is. And if you go through life thinking that you're going to find a relationship and then anybody, a male or female, is going to complete you, then you're coming at it from the wrong place. For me, a relationship is not necessarily about happiness. It's about transformation, personal transformation. It's about what you learn about yourself in the context of the relationship. And if both of you are doing that together, not only will the relationship grow, but individually you are growing. So what I think needs to happen is that people need to really look a lot closer about why they want to get married, who this person is they're marrying. Really think about that much more than the ideals of how romantic it's going to be. So higher preparation and maybe lower the expectations.
Right. What do you think is the biggest thing that causes a rift between couples?
There's too many to go into.
Okay, what are the top 3 in your opinion?
Lack of communication,
Yeah.
men thinking one thing and a woman thinking that she heard something different. And, and that seems to be a big one. I mean, if you listen to a couple in therapy, often a guy will say, well, I said this, but the wife will say, partner, well, I heard it this way. So there's a lot of subtle things that make it very difficult for, the sexes to get along. But one of the big things, I think, is how people argue. How does a couple argue? If you argue constructively without going into hate and anger. I mean, anger is situational, but contempt, when you have such contempt for a person that you do the rolling of the eyes thing and you look at each other with disgust, that's really dangerous territory because that means that the worth of that person is low. You're putting that worth of that person very low. But if you can express your anger in a situational way and say, this is how I'm feeling right now, and hopefully both of you learn those techniques of how to talk constructively, say what your needs are, but don't go to the finger pushing and the pointing stuff. And also try and refrain from "I told you so," "you always," and "you never." Those are big ones. You never did that. You always do this. Blah,
I
blah,
like
blah.
the use of sometimes.
Well, sometimes it's better because sometimes it's more neutral.
Yeah.
You see, it allows for that spaciousness where
Right.
you're not necessarily attacking that person, but you're able to get your point across. But never and always are so finite.
Right,
So
right.
the other person is bound to feel attacked.
Right. Well, and also if you make it more about how you feel rather
Right.
than what they're doing, it's
Right,
just
right.
even if you don't intend to, I'm feeling
Exactly.
like
I mean,
this.
it's
sometimes.
pretty much the plain therapeutic talk that if you always start with the I, I'm feeling this way, and
Yeah.
perhaps we could do it this way. And, instead of you,
Yeah.
you're all you're going to get back is defensiveness. You're not going to go very
Exactly.
far. So,
Do you? What I would like to hear your thoughts about cheating. Do you think that there's ever a way to get past that?
yes and no. I think that also there's a very gray, ambiguous area. Sometimes cheating happens for certain reasons that might be positive in a relationship,
Right.
because certain things may not be working. If it's a serial cheater, then
That's a different
then you're
story.
out of the door immediately.
I want to hear more about that. And you also say that the first 2 years of a relationship are key to a couple's success. So I want to hear what some of those red flags are so that newlyweds might know if
Absolutely.
there's cause for alarm.
Yes.
Are you tired of the dating rat race? We might just have some new ideas for you and help you find your someone special and help you keep them in your life. I'm here with life coach and author Angela Paul, and this is Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D on Cool Change Radio. We're broadcasting live from Freddie Siegel Studios. I'm Dear Mrs. D. We'll be right back.
Today, experience The Quick Fix, a simple process for positive change. Written by Bradley Quick, author, producer, motivational speaker, and host of the award-winning radio talk show, The Quick Fix with Bradley Quick on CoolChangeRadio.com. Bradley's passion for life is evident in his book, written so you can experience health, find your purpose, and have more effective relationships. Beating insurmountable odds, overcoming death, and being paralyzed, Bradley fought his way back so he could help you conquer your struggles. Experience increased health, vitality, passion, and purpose in your life right now with The Quick Fix, and read about Bradley's courage, ambition, and determination to live. Whether the issue is your thoughts, your physical body, or you just want to feel better and be happy, The Quick Fix, a simple process for positive change, will change your life. For only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Take positive action now and receive a free guided meditation CD with your order. That's a $20 value free with your order today. Go to BradleyQuick.com. That's BradleyQuick.com. Take control and begin feeling better now. Get the book and free CD now at BradleyQuick.com.
We're talking love in the modern world. This is Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D.
This has never been attempted before by any treatment center, ever. Seasons Malibu is willing to take the risk because they understand quality care and evidence-based long-term recovery. Pay for only 3 months of treatment and stay until you are better, period. I'll say that one more time. Pay for only 3 months of treatment and stay until you are better. Enough is enough. Seasons Malibu wants to count your days of recovery, not the dollars in your pocket. No gimmicks, no guarantees, just straightforward world-class treatment until you are better. Do not hesitate. Call now. Seasons Malibu, 866-780-8539, 866-780-8539. That's Seasons Malibu at www.seasonsmalibu.com or 866-780-8539, 866-780-8539. For a free consultation and details, 866-780-8539.
Welcome back. You're listening to Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D on Cool Change Radio, your home for self-improvement and a place for positive change. This show is brought to you by DearMrsD.com. Looking for love in all the wrong places? Get the secrets for finding love from someone who did. That's me. Whether you need help creating a sexy online profile, getting over first date jitters, or keeping relationships going long-term, Dear Mrs. D has something for you. Visit the website, sign up for the newsletter, get a copy of the D is for Dating ebook, or just ebook, or contact me, and I will be there to help you. For those of you just joining us on Cool Change Radio, you can listen to this show again or to hundreds of hours of other self-discovery content anytime you want by simply going to BradleyQuick.com. There you can also sign up for our weekly radio show email reminder, and once a week you'll receive the most recent interviews of all of our shows in the comfort of your own home or office. Then you can listen at your convenience and make sure not to miss your favorite authors, experts, or personalities. Advice. So our first guest for today is Angela Paul. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Angela is the author of It's Hard Being Human, Thoughts on the Journey from Suffering to Joy, published in 2006. And she also has a new book out now, The Beauty of Aging, A Woman's Guide to Joyful Living. Angela was a winner of More Magazine's Over 40 Model Search and is now contracted with the Wilhelmina Agency in New York and Los Angeles. And obviously you can see why. She's gorgeous. Her recent clients include Sheraton Hotels, When Hair Products by Chaz Dean. She has been featured as a guest on Good Morning America, CBS Early Show, and Inside Edition. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So before the break, we were talking about the importance of those first 2 years of marriage, or we said we would talk about that.
Right.
So you have some thoughts on this. You've said that a fancy wedding does not equal a long, healthy marriage. So how do couples get beyond that honeymoon period?
Well, first of all, let's start with the wedding. You know, the idea that, you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a wedding, it's great. It's a thing to celebrate. But the reality is it does not equal a successful marriage by any means. So the real work of marriage is much more subtle.
Mm-hmm.
It's people have to really. I actually think the work has to start before you get married. That's why I was talking about the preparation. You have to really know your partner, and you have to have similar values. You have to have the same intentions about what you want out of a relationship. So if you just start finding that out after you get married, that's probably not a good start in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But in those first 2 years, things come up. You start to see things that you maybe didn't know about each other before.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lot of couples tend to do is they just put things under the carpet. They tend to sweep them away. I think that if they do that or ignore them, they'll just go away. But really, that doesn't work. So every time something comes up that starts to be a little bit of a red flag, you have to find, again, constructive ways to bring these things up and talk about them. So something that wasn't small doesn't grow into being huge. And, so those early months, those first 2 years when the glow is still there, but, it's starting to fade a little bit. You've got the groceries to take care of, baby children. You've got your bills that need paying, and you're not walking around looking gorgeous all the time. And, he's farting or not wiping up the kitchen the way he's supposed to, or all the real things. It's like seeing each other with real eyes and being able to keep that glow still going. It's quite a balancing act.
Yeah, it is. How early do you think is too early to give up on a marriage? Like I had a client who was only married for about 6 months. I don't even know if it was 6 months, but she knew almost immediately she felt that she just had made a mistake, and she didn't feel like it was fair to either of them to stay in the relationship longer. And they tried therapy, but she knew it was wrong, and it was like, do we stay in this for another 2 years and know that we're in the wrong relationship, or do we cut bait and get out? So do you think she gave up too soon?
Well, that's such, an individual point of view. I mean, again, I think that every couple has to find the groove, what works for them. But if she obviously in that 6 months, certain things came up that were giant red warning signs that she felt that she couldn't live with, then maybe she made the right choice. And one of the things about getting older and also being in a marriage for a long time, you start to have more respect for the ambiguity of life and the gray areas where everything is not so black and white. So if that worked for her and she feels happy that she made that choice, who to say when it's too early or not?
That's a good answer.
And getting back to that other question you're talking about cheating. I mean,
I wanted to go back to that.
Which is a big one, really, because again, with that, there's been times when people have cheated, and it's actually been the springboard for helping that marriage to grow. Although 1 in 3 marriages generally don't survive, an affair.
Wow.
But that's also the area where I feel that there's a lot of, gray areas. We cannot really say. We don't know what goes on between any couple. In the privacy of their bedroom, we don't know what's going on. So I try not to have judgments about what couple is doing. But again, like we said, if it's a cheating, serial cheater, that's totally a different thing.
Do you believe in different kinds of cheating? Like, is cheating only like intercourse with someone else, or can you be cheating when you're just hanging out with your the buddy of a different sex? Can that be cheating?
Apparently you can. I mean, I'm
in your opinion.
In my opinion, I'm European, and I tend to have a more of a relaxed attitude about it. It's not that I'm cheating, but I don't think that if you if you're married or you're committed to somebody, and it's like the saying that just because you don't have to stop looking, even though you're not ordering. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't have to, you're not blind. I don't expect my husband not to look at attractive women, but at the same time, that takes a lot of trust as well.
Right.
And, but, the fact is, to go back to my own personal life, when I met my husband, I was actually married to somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I was a cheater. But if I hadn't have cheated, I wouldn't have met my husband. So again, there are all of these sorts of gray areas. And in Europe, honestly, it's not such a big deal sometimes if a person feels that they can care for more than one person at the same time. I think that it can get very icky and uncomfortable for most couples, and I don't think in general most couples can do it. But I do know some couples who make it work.
There's a very provocative show on Showtime on polyamory. It's like a whole other thing, but it's like people that are married and they also have a girlfriend, and like they all live in these. It's very interesting. It's
that's like a whole other different.
It's a whole other thing. I mean, if
you're
like that takes a really strong marriage when you're just like,
I don't know if it's a marriage. I don't know what it is, but I mean, but again, the thing is though, if
very
both
racy.
people agree to the rules, then if it works, it works.
It's the communication.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
we have our rules. I'm sure you have your rules, and we respect those rules. And but again, everybody's got to find what works for them.
So since we're talking a little bit about the sex life, and that has to play a factor in the health of your relationship. And there are many life events that change your body. I had a baby a couple of years ago, and that was like a whole different thing for me.
Yeah.
And women that go through menopause, that's a big change to your body. Do you have tips for women that are experiencing a change like this and aren't feeling as sexy as they used to?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, I've been married 31 years. So in 31 years, there's definitely been, the waves.
There were some off years there.
Absolutely. And, and
even
I think
for a model.
if you have, absolutely. I think if you have, though, a kind of partner where you can flow through these and you don't get so pulled and swayed by the down times because you know that you're going to come up again. It's like after you've had the first child, and if you're nursing, the last thing you want is your husband touching
don't touch
you,
those.
So it's a very fine line. I remember one day, about 3 months after I'd given birth, my husband came back with all this fabulous lingerie, and I was so touched by the sweetness of the gesture that it was like, I said, baby, I can't do this right now.
Unless they come with some breast pads.
Exactly. So,
We're
but
getting
it was
real,
great.
very
but
real
I
this
love
week.
the fact that he still saw me in that light.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. But I had to communicate. I just want to be hugged and cuddled right now.
Yeah.
But then again, but about 6 months later, when I was starting to get my mojo back, I remember going to meet him at the airport when he would arrive back, and I would put on a trench coat with underwear, sexy lingerie on. Met him at the airport. I had a hotel room waiting with appetizers, hors d'oeuvres, and wine. Picked him up, and I took him there. I had a babysitter for the day, because it's so important for a couple with children to also keep that sensuality and that sexuality, so that you're still romantic partners. And that's what happens for a lot of couples, is that the men become tired, they're working all the time, the women are cranky because they're home all day with the babies, or if you're both working and trying to balance all that, no one has time for sex at all. So you have to set your intention, even as back far as then, which was about 5 years. And since then, it's like you go through ups and downs. And but I must say, for us, a healthy sex life is important. And so when you both have that intention, you create it. You don't wait for the mood to happen.
You don't schedule it in, right?
Well, actually, we do schedule it in. We'll schedule a day in. For the opportunity to create the possibility. Because if you don't, you're going to be too tired.
Oh, wow.
So you do have to kind of set your intention about it. Not in like, okay, at 2:30 we're going to have sex, but we're going to have this day together. We're going to go for lunch. We're going to, talk about what's going on in our life and see the possibility. Maybe go to a hotel for the weekend. You have to just kind of and take care of yourself physically, And I think those things are really important. And, look. Bottom line is sex is good for you. It's great for your overall health, your mental health, physical health. It's great for your heart. It's a great cardiovascular workout. And so, I mean, just have fun with it. And men go through their problems too. Different things stop working at different times. And so I think with love and compassion and patience and the ability to communicate together, you can weather those ups and downs and still keep the fire sparks and all the sizzle going.
I love that. Communication in the bedroom, communication everywhere.
Absolutely. Say what you want. Know what you want.
Well, things are getting a little racy here, but I'm really glad that we're having an honest conversation about marriage and keeping a strong bond. So thank you so much for joining us and for being on the show, Angela.
Thank you. My pleasure.
If you want to learn more about Angela, go to angelapaul.com and be sure to pick up her new book, The Beauty of Aging, A Woman's Guide to Joyful Living. It's online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and coming to a bookstore near you. Coming up next is the man whisperer and sexy mom expert, Allana Pratt, who will be giving the signs to signal if your relationship is in trouble. So stay tuned. This segment has been brought to you by JDate.com and JDate's JMag. Read free dating tips and advice from some of the leading experts in the field, including Dear Mrs. D. You don't need to be a member or a member of the tribe to get this valuable info. I'm Dear Mrs. D, and you're listening to Cool Change Radio. We'll be right back.
There are self-help seminars costing thousands of dollars guaranteeing miraculous transformations. There are compelling speakers and life-changing weekend experiences where you can walk on fire. They all deliver revelations that guarantee you'll come back for the more expensive revelations filled with even greater wonder next month on Fiji. We get addicted to positive, heartfelt, expensive theater. What we really need is a jumpstart, an awakening, someone who can give us a reminder that everything we need lies within. Through inspiration and practical knowledge, Dorothy Donahue helps people get grounded and motivated, inspired and energized. It's not just words and affirmations and the power of intention. It's a mindset brought about by a tangible, transcendental experience, an audio-visual, physical, spiritual experience that helps us realize we transform ourselves. We get tools to become the conscious co-creators of lives of unlimited potential. Find out more. Go to DorothyDonahue.com.
Don't touch that dial. This is Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D.
I'm Melody Beattie, author of Codependent No More. 7 times more Americans have hepatitis C than AIDS. I'm one of them. If you're one of the millions of Americans with hepatitis C and your doctors are treating you with interferon, then you're clearly aware of how your life has been turned horribly upside down. Backed by huge pharmaceutical monies, the medical community swears there's only one dangerous, disabling way to battle this silent killer. It's not true. There are alternatives, and they work. Triumph Over Hepatitis C is a book written by best-selling author Lloyd Wright, who fully recovered from this frightening disease. Lloyd is helping others to take charge of their lives and fight for their body's freedom from this crippling illness. His program is working for me. Call the people at Hepatitis C Free now at 866-HEP-C-FREE. That's 866-HEP-C-FREE. Don't become another medical statistic. Find out the truth about hepatitis C and get your life back.
Get your copy of Triumph Over Hepatitis C at Barnes & Noble and at hepatitiscfree.com. Call 866-HEP-C-FREE.
Welcome back. You're listening to Cool Change Radio, your home for self-improvement and a place to find your passion and purpose. I'm Dear Mrs. D, and we're talking about doing something different with your dating life. Today's topic is DIVORCE. But we are giving you some solutions to get your life on track. It doesn't have to be a tragic situation. With us now is Allana Pratt. She is known as the sexy mom expert and the man whisperer. Mm-hmm. She hosts the #1 weekly radio show called Hot Mama. How Mama Got Her Groove Back on BigMediaUSA.com, and has launched Sexy Mom Talks, a revolutionary online destination for moms to receive support, insight, guidance, and inspiration on how to get your groove back in a fun, engaging, and empowering environment. She's a regular on Lisa Gibbons' Lisa Live and the national show Hollywood Confidential. Thank you for joining us, sexy mom Allana Pratt.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me and talking about, when mama's happy, everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. So how do you know if a relationship is headed for trouble? What in your opinion, what are the signs or clues? Is it body language, communication, other actions that show
We could go on
relationships
for
in trouble?
3 hours with me talking about this, but I think we should break it down just to the top ones where I think the first one you got to notice is that there used to be a certain amount of time you've been spending together, intimate time together. Well, it's not happening anymore. And what is happening? Are they staying late at work? Are they spending more time on Facebook? Even more time with the kids. You might find them on porn. I'm not really sure what they're going to be doing, but they're not going to be making that regular date night that they used to. So that would be the first thing to notice, is that they're pulling back and they're not present. They're not really connected anymore. And when that happens, you can totally take it personally. You can let it blow up into a big fight, or you can just start to connect with your partner and say, is there like an elephant in the living room here? Is there something I said that, you just don't know how to broach with me that we could have a talk about? Maybe you're going to plan a date night or plan even a weekend away. But if you start to see them, feel them pulling away, trust yourself. And don't wait, because often when we stick our head in the sand like an ostrich, like we think it's going to help, it doesn't.
Just go away.
Doesn't. It makes things worse. So be willing to sit in the fire and talk about things.
Now, what about, you mentioned like working late, and now I just feel like in this economy especially, like people are afraid they're going to lose their jobs if they don't work crazy hours.
Right.
And, my own husband works, he's a TV writer, and he works very crazy hours when they're in production. Like, how do you know the difference between a partner having to work late and either consciously or subconsciously pulling away or avoiding the relationship?
It's a really great question, especially in today's economy. I think so. If we're talking like, how would a woman know? But men have very strong intuitions too, if they give themselves permission to, because they that warrior, they know a lot of stuff too. But it's going to just feel different. I mean, when they are working late, but they come home and they share about the project, and you're still connected, and you might be friggin' exhausted, and you might have no energy to make love, but you just hold hands and you fall asleep together. You're still connected, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing different. You're just busier. It's when they're not sharing things. They're not actually looking you in the eye when they get home. You're becoming more roommates. And they happen to be working too. I even have a couple that I'm working with right now. She's really turned on about her new book, and he's really turned on about what's going on. And the marriage is totally falling apart because they haven't made that priority. And it was Wednesday. It was date night. I go, what do you guys do? Well, I just watch TV. And so they haven't, even though they put the structure in, they just don't know how to face each other. They don't know what to do when they do actually create that time together.
And you think it's important to like schedule in a date night? Like, this is when we're seeing each other every week.
I'd like to say the first few years continue, right? But from biological reasons to maybe kids or different changes, that initial honeymoon phase, it does end. But that's not wrong or bad. It's just a new phase. So instead of going, I wish I just wanted to jump his bones all the time, I just don't anymore. Guess we won't have sex anymore. No. Okay, so that was phase one. Thank you. That's complete. Now we've got phase two. It's a new set of rules, a new set of hormones, a new set of circumstances. So if you schedule it, and then you really check into your point of view, like, is your point of view, I've got to put out tonight. Oh my God. Okay. If I just do it this way, then he'll come faster and I'll just think about the grocery list. That can be a marriage, right? Or
sometimes you got to do what you got to do, Allana.
I do not believe taking one for the team is healthy for the relationship. I really don't. But you can change your point of view about that scheduled date night by going, kind of like, if we were scheduled to go on a vacation, right? Tonight, if we were going to go catch a plane right now, wouldn't we be like super excited?
Yeah.
Okay. So that point of view of like something new and something fresh. Well, if you can schedule your date nights and be excited that, oh my God, I wonder what's going to happen, and maybe take turns with themes or new ideas or new locations or these kind of thing, and you give it to the other person as a job, but not like a job, but is like, you get to be creative. Then you can start to look forward to your vacation, your date night with your partner, and you'd be amazed at, you can see them with fresh eyes, and you can be that, and it can connect you and fuel you for the hard week at work or with the kids or what have you.
So we're talking about connecting and spending time scheduling time that you spend together.
Yeah.
So sometimes though, like, you can be with your partner and you're physically there, but they're like in a whole different place.
Oh, yes.
Are there signals that you can tell our listeners to know when your partner is there but not really there?
Well, first, if you're alert, aware, and conscious, you'll feel it because you won't feel seen. You won't feel gotten. You won't feel that, oh, I can just exhale with this person. You know that their mind is somewhere else.
Yeah.
And whether you're beside them or not is so unfulfilling when they're not paying attention. So that's the opportunity to say, I often find like getting them out of their spinning head, wherever they are off in the past, in the future, but they're not here. Put your hand on their shoulder, put your hand on their thigh. No judgment, no make wrong, but just, hi, it's me. And the person will be like, hi, I know, what? No, I where'd you go? Is there anything you want to let me know? Is there something you think I don't understand? Have I been not a good listener? Have I been a little too abrupt or judgmental? Is it not safe to tell me things anymore? If so, I'm so sorry. Is there anything we can go deeper about? Like, be vulnerable, take full responsibility, and create that safe space to get reconnected again. Because maybe they're terrified they're going to get fired, and then they won't be the man, they won't be able to provide for you, and you're going to hate that. You don't know what's going on in his mind.
Right.
Or she hasn't lost the weight since the kids, and she's clear that you don't think she's sexy anymore, and you're terrified that he's looking at everyone else in the whole restaurant, not you, and that's all it is. But if you connect and talk about it, you can get through it, and the relationship can actually get closer and deeper and stronger.
That's great. I love that advice. Some people, though, in relationships, rather than going inward, like tend to lash out. So what do you do in that case? Like if you and your partner are just at one another's throats constantly,
At war.
is there any way to recover from that, or is there a solution for that situation?
Well, it's a really good point. When something's off, we either sort of hide or we blow. These are
Right.
sort of the two places we go. And what's really sad is that you can never take something back that you said. And I think in general, and I'm so not perfect at this, but I would definitely
honesty.
say, I cannot speak to you right now, and leave. Leave before you say something you'd regret, as a practice, rather than there's an addictive high off of being right and rolling your eyes and being righteous and fighting. And there's actually this thing that happens in your body that can even get you addicted to the high of the fight.
Oh yeah, I totally know that. Like my husband is not at all a fighter,
Right.
and like the home I grew up in was like very chaotic,
Feisty.
and like fighting was like that's how you communicated.
Right.
My parents are no longer together, but that's how you communicated. So that was what was modeled for me, and
Sure.
I thought that was a relationship, and it
Right.
was so different when I met my husband, and I was like, we don't have anything to fight about. We're not fighting. We're talking.
Right.
It's so and it's
Healthy.
like yeah, and I realized like gosh, I waste a lot of times in a lot of crappy relationships that where fighting was like a mainstay, and it was like
Right.
almost like you're fueling off of that, as you said.
Yeah. Unless you have two people on board who both are willing to stop what's not working, which is arguing all the time and fighting all the time, that's a tough one. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're both willing to go, look, this isn't working, what can we do? And I think a therapist or a counselor like you and I is a really good place to start with this, because
Right.
you kind of need like a referee here. Because underneath
party.
the anger all the time is an unmet need, sadness, fear. And it's just not safe the person thinks it's not safe to share that part with the other, so they just project and get angry and deflect and all the rest of it and make wrong and blame. But if you can, which I do with couples all the time, if you can just set them down and hold space for both of them, they go, and I hear you're angry. What's missing? What are you concerned about? What are you afraid of? What are you really worried? If they'll get down to that and they'll be heard by the other person's compassion just floods out. Oh my God. And the connection happens again. But if you just keep the anger going, you don't ever have to go that deep. And I think, I've seen people be married for like 50 years and do this. However, you're never going to reach that fulfilling, intimate place in a relationship unless you get under the anger to what's really going on. And a really great question to ask yourself is what I'm saying right now bringing me closer to my partner or farther away? And if whatever you're saying, doing is bringing you farther away from your partner, I want you just to really take a deep breath. Why the hell would you be doing that? Because if you keep doing that, there's going to be no more relationship again. So don't make yourself wrong, but take full responsibility that I got to figure out a way to get my needs met while communicating in a way that keeps bringing me closer to my partner.
Right.
And get creative about it. Get a coach about that. But keep moving forward, and your relationship will continue to strengthen.
That's great. That's great advice. You have a kind of interesting relationship history, and I'm hoping you might be able to share a couple stories from your own personal life after the break, and also to talk about kids and how having kids, you and I are both moms, sexy moms, if I may say so.
Thank you.
And, that definitely adds a layer into the relationship that you have to deal with.
Sure.
Make a note. You can listen to this show again on youtube.com/Dear Mrs. D. That's our YouTube channel, and we have helpful tips and videos all for free. youtube.com/Dear Mrs. D. Stay put. You're in the right place. We have more of sexy mom expert Allana Pratt when we get back, and you are listening to Cool Change Radio, your home for self-discovery.
Get quality goods for less from Bag City, serving all of Reno, Denver, Las Vegas, Bakersfield, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, and many more cities. Up to 70% below retail on everything. Coin purses, wallets, organizers, purses, briefcases, backpacks, travel and garment bags, and ladies and men's leather jackets. All discounted, all up to 70% below retail. Bag City, the best for less? Bag City serving all of Reno, Denver, Las Vegas, Bakersfield, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, and many more cities. Contact Bag City at 818-990-1795. That's Bag City, quality goods for less money. Bag City, where 15% of all sales go to local charities. You can't beat that. You help local charities while getting quality goods at up to 70% below retail. Contact Bag City now at 818-990-1795. Contact Bag City today and get quality goods for less money. That's 818-990-1795. Shop Bag City to save. Shop Bag City for charity. Bag City, 818-990-1795.
We'll be back in a moment with more Dates and Mates with Dear Mrs. D.
Today, experience the Quick Fix, a simple process for positive change. Written by Bradley Quick, author, producer, motivational speaker, and host of the award-winning radio talk show, The Quick Fix with Bradley Quick on CoolChangeRadio.com. Bradley's passion for life is evident in his book, written so you can experience health, find your purpose, and have more effective relationships. Beating insurmountable odds, overcoming death, and being paralyzed, Bradley fought his way back so he could help you conquer your struggles. Experience increased health, vitality, passion, and purpose in your life right now with The Quick Fix, and read about Bradley's courage, ambition, and determination to live. Whether the issue is your thoughts, your physical body, or you just want to feel better and be happy, The Quick Fix, a simple process for positive change, will change your life. For only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Take positive action now and receive a free guided meditation CD with your order. That's a $20 value free with your order today. Go to BradleyQuick.com. That's BradleyQuick.com. Take control and begin feeling better now. Get the book and free CD now at BradleyQuick.com.
Welcome back. Thanks to all of you for joining us on CoolChangeRadio.com, Facebook, Blog Talk Radio, and YouTube. As you know, you can watch our live and recorded shows on YouTube.com/Dear Mrs. D and find clips and tips at DearMrsD.com. You're listening to Cool Change Radio, broadcasting live from Freddie Siegel Studios. For those of you watching us live on the Cool Change Radio and TV network, we are here with sexy mom expert Allana Pratt. If you have any questions about the show, post them on our wall, dating expert Dear Mrs. D, Facebook.com/Dear Mrs. D, and we can get your questions answered online. Before the break, Allana was telling us about ways to know if your relationship is in trouble and how to overcome any obstacles you might be having. And we started to talk about her own history, which is it was very interesting. You had a first marriage that seemed perfect on the surface, but ultimately you realized it wasn't the right relationship for you. I'd love for you to share your story with our listeners, and what was that moment when you knew that you had to end the relationship?
Well,
because that's a big question.
It's a massively,
take your time.
Yeah, it's a massively huge question to really make that kind of bold move, and I never counsel my clients to make that a brass decision. Definitely go for help. Definitely give it all you got, especially when kids are on the line, for sure.
Right.
So my first husband, great guy, tall, dark, and handsome, multimillionaire, thought I was amazing. I mean, hello, how's it get better than that? I grew up with my mother is gone now; she's in heaven, and my dad and we have a great relationship now. But he was a drug and alcoholic abuser my whole life, and so my parents got divorced. So I didn't see love. I didn't see what that was. So this looked pretty damn good. And we had 6 years of dating, engagement, and marriage. And the further the relationship went along, who I was in the beginning, I was overseas and I was modeling and I was fully self-expressed and spontaneous and traveling. And when we got back to the States and then got back to New York, et cetera, it seemed like there's a very small box that I was supposed to be in.
Oh.
And don't get outside of that box. Don't, make waves. And I used to wear like bandanas on my head and big hoop earrings. And I remember having a bob and very conservative, and like a big ass ring here. But like just, this is the role. And I was slowly dying inside. I used to hide in the closet to meditate so I wouldn't be made fun of. And so I think who we were away living in Japan, away from society and family and expectations, we were different people than we were when we got back to, Connecticut and Wall Street, etc. And so, but I couldn't do it. I
couldn't do Connecticut.
Couldn't do it. So by the time we moved out to Los Angeles, where I found a lot more of my people, at least I stopped judging myself that I was weird and wrong. I just wasn't a fit anymore. And so that one ended. And I remember the day that I chose to leave was July 4th. And we were supposed to go to this big party, but I didn't have a visa yet to work. So I was going to have to go back to Canada or back to Japan, but I just couldn't stay here anymore and not expand. I just couldn't. I felt so losing myself. And so I said I wasn't going to go to the party and I was going to move out with a girlfriend. And as I was getting packed up...
Just a girlfriend, not like a girlfriend.
No, sorry. Because
we talk about that on the show too.
Sure. No, a platonic girlfriend.
Okay.
I'm so sexy and sensual. I suppose that's an appropriate question, but no. And that very day, as I was getting packed up and I was crying, my green card arrived.
Oh my goodness.
And I think it's a really important lesson to remember that when we make a decision, wouldn't it be nice if everything was all lined up and perfect and pretty and the ducks were all lined up and then I'll choose and I'll know I'll be safe. Life doesn't work like that. You choose first. It's a choice of faith. It's a choice of heart. You've known you've done your best. I'd gone to therapy and workshops and courses, everything I could do to try to make that relationship work, and it didn't. And granted, he came too, so he did his work as well. But it was jump first. And then the solution comes second, like the how comes second. And the green card came and life moved on. Relationship number 2 has been number 2. He was a .commer and he was traveling the world. He'd call me from Tokyo or Hong Kong. I'm like, oh, just go around the corner to that bar. It's a really cool, bartender there. It was my scene from living in Japan. And so that felt really fun and cool. But when the .com fell, simultaneously with my mom getting cancer and dying, simultaneous with getting pregnant, simultaneous with my sister getting married and having somebody and I didn't, I sort of went into what I call like masculine focus. I can make this happen through will mode. And so that's what I did. The second.
But that time in that relationship, there was a child involved, right?
Yes, there was a child involved. So
how does that differ when you're having to make that decision and you're making that decision for yourself and for your son?
Well, there wasn't a child involved when I first decided to get married again.
Right.
But then soon after there was. So the reason I really decided to make it work was because there was a child. But I also have to admit I was in this phase of trying to keep my mom alive. I was giving everything, time, energy, money. And I was very lopsided in my confidence as a woman. When I was 100% giving, I wasn't receiving. So it was, I've always done my best. And I always say to your clients, you're not like stupid or evil, right? But, you always do your best. So please forgive yourself that you did so. Now we know more and we can make better choices for ourselves. And the sooner you forgive yourself, the sooner you can move on with ease. So I found in that relationship that I'd not made a good choice in husband, but no regrets whatsoever because I had this beautiful child.
Yeah.
And again, we went to therapy and the whole thing. But I was really able to take responsibility that I didn't choose well. It wasn't his fault. I was not together.
Just not the right relationship for you.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even though I have very good girlfriends, they've been married 30 years. This kind of, I have two of my best girlfriends actually both been married since like 16, 17 when they first met kind of thing. My life has not been that life. And I'm no worse than them. They're no better than me. It's just they've had their challenges within their relationship, one of them, and I've had my challenges and growth within a couple.
Yeah.
And we all grow. And by calling it quits with that second relationship was the scariest thing I'd ever done because there I was, single mom. I wasn't working. He was one, but there was enough verbal abuse going on that no, it wasn't right to stay.
Well, and sometimes it's also like having kids almost gives you clarity because you're like, okay, as like mom, I have to take care of my child, and that's number one.
Mother bear is a wonderful thing that awakens within a woman when she becomes a mother.
Yeah.
And it does provide a clarity like I've never had before.
Right.
And when I look in my son's eyes, I can't BS.
Right.
And I looked at him when he was just like, I remember it so clearly. I was like, breastfeeding, and I looked in his eyes and I go, whoa, I am not the woman of grace and joy and power. I promised you. And that is my job. And I'm going to do something about this. And I went into meditation, had a very powerful meditation. And I said, okay, this is not against him. This is for me. This is for my life and for the fullest me I can be, which is going to make me the best mom I can be.
Right.
And I will do what I can to create the best co-parenting that I can. I will own my responsibility in this, and I will let him have his. I am not crazy.
So for there may be some single moms or single dads that are listening.
Yeah.
Any advice you could give to them to when they're ready to start dating? Well, first of all, how do they know they're ready to start dating? And how do you begin that process again when you're coming out of a long-term relationship?
It's a super question. As soon as you can look at your ex with no anger, no blame, no whatever, because all that really is really, if you turn it on yourself, it's like, how did I marry? Why did I do? It's all self-abuse. Why did I marry them? Really, it's easier to go there, nah. But really, if we turn it on ourselves and forgive ourselves for the choice we made and take the lessons and apply them, so we're actually better because of that relationship. And if you can go down and write at least 5 to 10 things of thank you for that marriage, because now I know, now I'm stronger, now I have more clarity, now I'm more forgiving, now I've got more. If you can go through and be grateful for that relationship, you're ready to move on. That's my rule.
Well, I'm sure there are also men and women that are like getting back into the swing of things that have just like forgotten how to flirt even.
Yes.
Do you have tips for attracting the opposite sex?
If women would
Sexy mom.
practice flirting with the breeze, flirting with the sunshine, letting the sunshine penetrate you, being willing to let the guy at the grocery store carry your groceries and kind of practice saying thank you and being, letting someone support you. If you can just practice flirting with life and praising your girlfriends, like, that's I like your blouse there. Like if you practice being in your, we'll call it radiance and flirtatiousness, and you don't just hold it all in a box and then you get out with a guy and you're like, I don't know what to do. You're just one big sensual yes to life. That will, one, make you very attractive. Yeah. 2, you'll be in your confidence on the date. It won't be weird. And you'll tend to you'll be a full woman, and men like to win with women. So if you've got 2 choices, equally hot, equally, competent and successful, one's a big yes to life and one's kind of shut down a little bit and reserved and, skeptical, he's going to choose the one who's radiant because he's got a better chance at winning, at making her happy. So that's how I see ease with meeting the next one.
What about for guys? Do you think it's different? So if the woman wants to be like the breeze, to be in the sunshine, to be attractive, do you believe like in the traditional gender roles of like the man has to make the move, and like how does he get ready to pounce on his prey?
I don't know if I'm as traditional as pouncing on prey, but I do believe in masculine and feminine energy. Okay. And I don't believe that he has to lead for it to work. There are men who have more feminine energy and women that have more masculine, and they can be a wonderful match, in which case she would take the lead. But that whole dynamic of that relationship is going to be like that, and it works for them. Okay.
I love that you're saying that, because like I totally agree with that. And I feel like sometimes you hear from relationship experts like, no, it has to be.
No, there's no has to. We're all unique and different. How can it be, right?
Right.
So,
but society,
I know society, but it just feels so good to take sometimes to throw away the rules and just be you. And if who you is more feminine, and the only reason you're not being inviting is because you're exhausted by taking out your own trash and doing your own taxes and everything's on yourself. Become who you are when you're out and about on your date, so you'll attract what you really want. You really do want more support. You really want that guy who's the banks of the river for you. But if you're rocking your game and you love being more masculine as a woman, and you love being directional and you're driven, and you want a guy that's just that calm, cool breeze that looks at you going, baby, you're so hot. I love it. Like if that's really the compliment that's going to bring you down out of your spinning head and make that relationship work, be willing to be the first, make the first move.
That's excellent advice. If you want to learn more about Allana, go to allanapratt.com, www.allanapratt.com, where you can learn more about one-on-one group one-on-one coaching, group coaching, retreats, other packages to keep you happy, healthy, and sexy, right?
Yes. Books, CDs, DVDs, it's all there.
I love it. www.allanapratt.com. Again, I'd like to give a big thanks to Fred Siegel and to our friends from around the globe for supporting our charity, the Cool Change Foundation. I'd like to give a huge thanks to both of our guests, professional life coach Angela Paul and sexy mom expert Allana Pratt.
Thank you.
You both have given us great advice and helpful hints on keeping a relationship on track. This show is produced by Bradley Quick Productions and Dear Mrs. D Productions and has been made possible by Fred Siegel, YouTube, Google, The Salvation Army, Universal Studios, Tim Allen, Marilyn Talk, Taylor Hoskins, Natasha Lewin, Gina Vergalito, Intuitive Entertainment, and many others, including the Cool Change Foundation. Cool Change Radio is your home for self-improvement. I'm Dear Mrs. D, and until next time, catch us on youtube.com/Dear Mrs. D and on Tuesdays on blogtalkradio.com at 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Remember, if you like us on Facebook and Twitter, you can keep up with us and join the dating conversation. We'll see you again next Friday at 2 p.m. when we'll be talking to one of the leading experts in the world on dating and attraction, David Wygant. Thanks for joining us.